many seminars out there. There's so many programs and campaigns and YouTube and all this info, guys, of how to get your credit where it needs to be, how to put trade lines on your credit, all this, and then boom, you got a 750 score, 19, 20 years old, go and get $40,000 of credit. And they got all these programs for these people to think that, hey, you know what? I get this. I'm about to just jump in the Toro. I don't really know it, but I'm going to just go start doing these cars. I'm going to get in the truck in.
What the boss is view. You got to sacrifice. You want to move like bosses move.
YMA, Young Millionaires Association.
All right, guys. Welcome to Wealth Building Monday.
Hello, everyone. Wealth Building Monday.
Wealth Building Monday. I am Joe Wallace, and this is
Rebecca Wallace.
Guys, if you're on right now, make sure you like, comment, and
Subscribe.
okay. So we
Do it
gotta
right now.
we gotta do a pat on our shoulders. So right now, you know, the last time we spoke about it, we were averaging around 13 to 15 new subscribers every episode. Now we're averaging around 15 to 18 new subscribers
Nice.
every episode. So thank you guys.
Thank you, guys.
Obviously, like, people are enjoying the show. They're coming back,
And
they're watching.
subscribing.
The viewership
Yes.
is going up each episode now. So thank you, guys. Today's episode is brought to you by Masters Credit Consultants, the expert in credit repair, credit restoration, and credit building. You guys need to improve your credit, whether you're trying to become a homeowner, buy a car, get new credit cards, whatever it is. Contact Masters Credit Consultants for a free phone consultation. Their number is 864-249-9466, or you can contact them online at
Masterscredit.com.
masterscredit.com, www.masterscredit.com. Before we get started and start talking about the top 5 credit mistakes that people make.
Ooh.
So, yeah, the top 5 credit mistakes to avoid. Down in the comment section, make sure you hashtag YMA Nation so you can go into our cash drawing.
Money.
Money. This upcoming Friday, for Sports Talk Friday coming up, we'll be doing the October cash drawing. So, guys, make sure you hashtag YMA Nation. Also, the last thing is down in the description, make sure you guys check out and download your free copy of the YMA Nation mixtape volume 1.
He getting a round of applause for that,
Volume 1. We are on top of it. Just so many things happening, guys. Okay,
Yes.
so let's get into this. The top 5 credit mistakes to avoid.
This is going to be interesting right here.
Why is this important? Because being proactive and having the information ahead of time helps you to avoid the mistakes that you could possibly make.
Right.
So, number 1, utilization, debt to credit
Ratio.
ratio. So I'm gonna keep her engaged in my show, right? So what is
I'm
that?
going to jump in. I'm going to jump in.
Well, since
What
you
you
are a
got?
credit expert too, explain to me
The
utilization.
Utilization.
Mhm.
So utilization is weighted when you're utilizing the amount of available credit you have. So if you have credit cards and you have a credit limit of $1,000 and you have a balance owed of $500, then your utilization is
50%.
50%. That means you're utilizing 50% of your available credit on that card.
Right. It is so important that because it's 30% of your score on the FICO chart.
30%, guys.
30%. So that's almost a third of what makes up your credit score. So it's important that you manage the amount of debt that you carry, especially on a credit card or a line of credit. Any revolving account, you want to keep the balance, they say around 30%. All of my entrepreneurs and business owners out there, I'll tell you 10%.
Homeowners.
10% because between that 30% to that 10%, there's a lot of points to gain.
Right.
So 10%. And it doesn't mean that throughout the month, if I have a card that's $1,000 that I can't spend $400 or $500 or $600, it means that when that card is due, when the payment is due, I want to pay it back down. So if I'm carrying a balance of $500 on a card that has a $1,000 credit limit, I want to pay that card back down to around $100.
Right.
Utilization is important. And when you carry a high amount, a high balance on a card, the bank see it as a risk, especially if you're carrying it month over month.
Right.
And they see like, oh, now you are a risk, especially if they see it going up,
Trending up, right?
increasing. Now, I want to help people to understand this when we talk about this is the date that your account is due and the date that it reports to the bureaus. A lot of people have a misconception of how this is handled.
Okay.
So I'm going to give you guys the tips. Take notes. So if today is the 1st and I have a credit card that's due on the 10th, and I say, you know what, I go and spend $50 today. I'm like, oh, I'm going to pay it off before the card is even due. If I go and pay it off, or I pay it off on the date it's due,
Right.
I pay it off on the 10th.
Right.
And then on the next day, on the 11th, I book a plane ticket.
I started off checking it every other week, just like most people do. Then it got out of control. I couldn't help myself. I started checking it day after day after day. I didn't realize that I was becoming addicted until my wife said something.
What did she say?
She said, "It's just a credit score, relax."
Are you checking your credit score?
Huh? Hold on.
That's $600, but I have a $1,000 credit limit.
Right.
When I get my credit report, when it updates, when that account updates, it's going to show a balance of $600. And I'm going to be like, what in the world? I paid that off before it was due. I paid my card off down to zero. On the date it was due. And we see this so much, and the people that's going through the program under Masters Credit Consultants, they get their update and be like, I paid my card off in full to zero balance. I don't know why it's showing I got a $100, $200 credit balance.
Between your payment and the report date, you have used your card again.
You have used your card again. So guys, here's a good tip is between the date when your card is due to 3 to 5 days after that date, that's when the data reports to the credit bureaus. So between that date, if my card is due on the 10th, between the 10th and the 15th, I want to keep my balance at 0 or 10%.
Right.
Once it hit my credit, if I want to go and get a plane ticket or whatever and spend $600, that's fine. But
just to jump in too, because we see this and this coincides with that point. Not all of the cards are going to report on the same day. So,
oh yeah,
it goes hand in hand with that. Because let's say you have an American Express and a Discover. Well, they could be due on the same day, but could report different days of the month.
Right.
So just because you can't use that rule, like all your cards aren't going to report on the same day.
You have to track your credit.
Right.
There should be a pattern. So that pattern, if my Discover hits around the 10th of every month, then I should see around the 10th of every month. Like I know that card is going to hit around that date. The next thing, number 2, is applying for too many inquiries. Applying for too many accounts and adding too many inquiries on your credit. So each inquiry on your credit, it lowers your score by average of 3 to 5 points. So when people are like, oh, I applied for X, Y, and Z, and I seen my scores drop, because you're adding like all these inquiries on your credit. What you want to avoid, and I know they try to tell you this, but again, we're going to be transparent and honest with you. You go to a car dealership, and they tell you, oh, no, like it doesn't matter. We're going to run and try to get you the best rate as possible, and it doesn't matter because it's all within 30 days. Every inquiry that hits your credit is going to lower your credit score. So they say, oh, no, it's going to compile, and it's going to count as one. Why this is important? Because especially if you guys are continuously trying to build your credit, go to a car dealership and allow them to pull your credit 10 to 15 times. And then that following day, apply for a credit card. after those inquiries have hit your credit, and what you're going to get a denial letter that says too many inquiries. Yep, too many inquiries on your credit. So it does matter. It doesn't matter if you got 15 on there and you go and apply for a car, right? They don't care that you got 15 inquiries. Also, they fall off in 2 years.
Also, the same thing with the mortgage. Well, we're talking about inquiries. You don't want to shop mortgage lenders and have mortgage inquiries hit your credit, because those weight even higher than regular inquiries. Typically, a mortgage inquiry is going to be like 5 to 7 points.
Look at that. You guys getting all the tea right here. The next thing is closing a credit card. I hear this too, where I'm not using the card. I'm just going to close it out. Closing a credit card is going to lower your score. It's going to stop the positive payment history on it. Do not close out a credit card. Our clients, we advise them the only time you should ever close out a credit card if this is a secured card. That means that you started trying to build credit. You obtained a secured card to build and establish credit. Once you start getting unsecured cards and you want to close out, at least allow those unsecured cards to age for like 6 months before you close out a secured card, so it could kind of balance out the age for you. Then you close out the secured card. You get the $200 back or however much you put down on that card. And that should be the only time ever in your life that you will close out a credit card. Use your credit cards at least once a year. If not, they're going to either close the card because the card is going dormant and inactive, or they're going to lower down your credit limit. So use your cards at least once a year. Number 4, paying only the minimum balance on your credit. Okay, this is a good one because a lot of people do this. And that's okay because it's a positive payment that's made on time. You got it set on auto pay. That's okay. Now let's look on the downside of this, how the banks see it too. The banks enjoy you only paying that small amount. So if you got $1,000 credit card and you got a balance of $300 because you're trying to keep it at 300%, and they say the minimum payment is $29, they are going to drag that payment out forever, because if you only making the minimum payment, you're going to be paid more in interest over a period of time. Instead of if I pay $100 here, the following month I pay $100, and then the next month I pay $100, that card is paid off. I didn't pay that much in interest. You'll pay over a year on a $300 credit balance on that if you're paying $29. So you're throwing away so much money in interest, which the banks love. So that's one reason why you don't want to make just the minimum payment. The second reason is, in the bank's eyes and the computers, how it calculates that data, is that someone's going to take this and it's going to be on their show and they're going to be like, oh, yes, I'm a credit expert, because you don't want to, they're going to take this exact phrase. So a lot of people don't know this one. So here's a tip. When you go for a credit increase, or say Capital One, so every 6 to 9 months, the computer's going to look at your credit and it's going to see if you qualify for a credit increase. If you're only making the minimum payment, if you do qualify, you're going to get a very minimal credit increase. So that $500 is going to go to $700 or $800. That $1,000 is going to go to like $1,300. But if I have $1,000 card and I spent $600 on it, and then I paid $300 and then $300, and then I spent another $200 on my light bill the following month, and I pay it off in full, the computer is going to take that data and say, okay, when it's time for an increase, how much is this person spending per month on this card? So the more you spend and pay off, then the higher the increase will be.
And I want to jump in too on that.
You want to jump in. You do a lot of jumping. Your leg's going to be tired.
Probably so. Maybe.
Go ahead.
So the extra payment on a mortgage. So if you make an extra payment on your mortgage every year, since we're talking about making extra payments and paying things sooner,
that's not what we were talking about. But I'm glad you're going to throw this in, because this is a good tip.
It is. if you do that, then you can save 7 to 8 years on your mortgage.
Absolutely.
So just making an extra mortgage payment. But make sure if you want to break that down and just pay extra per month, you can do that. But when you make your payment, you have to make sure that they're applying it to the principal balance, not the interest balance.
Right.
So you can break that payment up. So let's say your mortgage is $1,200 and you want to put an extra $100 per month toward your principal. Then make sure you allocate that $100 extra you're paying towards principal, and that's your extra mortgage payment every month.
What that means is that if on that mortgage, instead of paying 30 years, you only pay 22 to 23 years. So you got 7 years of payments that you have just deleted out of your life
Right.
of $1,200 per month by making one extra payment, which when tax time comes, take an extra $1,200 out of your taxes and apply it towards your mortgage. That is a good rule
Principal.
of thumb.
Make
And
sure you
it
do
goes
it
to
toward
the
the principal.
Last thing is we're going to talk about payment history. If you miss a payment on an account, you can never, this should be like the top priority thing. When I don't care if you got an auto loan, a mortgage, a credit card, never, ever, ever, ever miss a payment. I have seen people go from having a 750 score to being dropped down to like a 660 because of one missed payment. I don't care if you pay it like 7 days late. They don't care. I mean, it depends, like that 7 days after
Right.
the time frame they give you outside of that window. I don't even want to talk about it because pay your payment on time. If you
Right.
tell somebody that trick, then they'll, oh, well, I got extra time to pay it. Pay all of your payments on time. If you can't make your payments on time, call the lender. Do not ignore it and be like, well, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'll just call a lender. Most lenders are flexible, especially if you have a long history of positive payments.
Right.
Last thing,
Break it down. Do something.
that's the
Don't be
top
late.
5. That's the top 5. It's going to drop your scores down. And also, if you're applying for things, especially like a credit card, if you apply for a new credit card, declined.
If you apply for a mortgage.
Mortgage.
Then a late payment on an installment, a credit card, any open account that you have, some lenders won't even give you a pre-approval with that late payment unless you have another year of positive payments. Now,
Look at
some is 6 months. Maybe if you have just extremely good credit outside of that one late payment. But if you have some negative items and you have a late payment on top of that, some lenders it's extremely hard to get past that
Right.
that one late payment.
Pay all your bills on time. If you can't, do not. You gotta face the lion. You know, pick that phone up and call and negotiate. No matter what you're going through, most of them, especially if you got positive payment history, they will work with you.
Right.
And also, if you got a credit card and if you're late on it, some banks will lower your credit limit, which is going to hurt you even more because
Now
on
you're
that
overutilized.
utilizing, this is a good thing that people don't think about because if I have a card that's $1,000 and they tell me I'm going to keep it around 30%, so I got a $300 balance on it, and they lower my card from being $1,000 to $500, so no longer am I at 30%. I'm almost at like 80% now,
Right.
which is going to drop my scores down even
Even
lower. So
lower.
I got dinged twice
Right.
off of one error.
account.
Okay, the last thing. Moment of truth. Moment of truth. This is going to be the realest thing that you guys are going to hear come
I'm
out
ready.
of my mouth for this episode. This is,
Uh-oh.
and I'm just going to be honest with you guys. So, guys, tighten up your pants and get ready for this blow. I was on a blog.
I'm
right?
listening.
And someone posted, they say, I have an account. I'm not going to say the name of the lender. They had a credit card with a credit limit of $25,000. And the account went to collections, and they put in there, hey, I got an account with blah, blah, blah for $25,000. It's in collections. How do I dispute this account? How do you dispute the account? So, one, I want to give you guys some tips on how this need to be managed, because if there's so much info out there on how now to access and how to get access to credit with high credit limits. So, and there's a lot of scams and everything going around now.
Right.
So, guys, I don't condone doing scams at all. If you are, whatever you do, whether you got great credit and now you have access to a credit card that's like 15,000, 20,000, you may have like 3 cards and there's 20,000, 25,000, 17,000 on these cards. More money or access to credit than you ever had, right? And the only thing that you have been used to is having a card that's like $1,000 credit card. You give someone going from $1,000 to going to like 60,000. That's how you have someone to get a card that's 25,000, max that card out, and then just stop paying on it.
Right.
Because they haven't learned financial management on how to handle a card with that high. Ooh, what are you about to press? I see you over there reaching. So my advice to you guys is there's a lot of information. We under YMA Financial help our clients get access to cards that's like $25,000 cards.
Right.
But before you get that, you need to understand how credit works. You need to understand how to budget.
I was gonna go there. I was gonna go there.
You have to know how to budget. It doesn't mean you get a $25,000 call. Like, oh my God, I never had this. Let me call up all my homeboys. Hey, let's go down to Miami. I'm paying for it, and you go and spend $8,000 in 2 or 3 days, and have no idea of how you're going to pay for it. Oh, I'll figure it out. That's the worst thing. I hate hearing, I will figure it out. I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. That's the worst mindset, because that tells me that inside of your mind, you have no idea of planning.
Right.
Or being proactive. I'll figure it out is not planning and being proactive. That's reactive.
Right.
Saying I'll deal with something after it has happened.
Right.
So you got to be, you trying to jump in. Hold on before you jump in.
Okay.
Hold on before you jump in, because this is serious, because it's going to impact our young culture. And that's why I want to stress on this, because the impact it's going to have on our young culture. There's so I'm gonna get me a food truck, but they got no experience in operating a business. So guys, my advice to you is learn the business before you get into it, before you start getting access to the capital. Make sure you have a core understanding of how to operate a business. Mm-hmm. You want to take all these courses. Take a course on business management. Take a course on accounting. There's courses out there that you could do that's 2 weeks. But it gives you an idea of how to properly manage a business, marketing, management, all these key things to help you operate that business right, so you don't get $40,000 and you spend the next 6 months trying to operate a business. And I know from experience, for people that's getting into the trucking industries and they're going to get these trucks that's 2010, 2011, the truck run for a month, and now it's broke down, and now they just maxed out all their credit trying to get into an industry that they think everybody else is doing so well in, and now they're in a worse place than it was before. So I'm all about entrepreneurship.
Right.
All about seeing our young, successful people, but it has to be a plan in place before you go and get all this debt, and then now the stress that's going to come along with that, the calls from collection agencies and all of that. I know I'm on a soapbox right now, but somebody has to address the issue because it's not as easy as it looks. When you see people actually going through and you see people posting the blogs and see people responding to how this is happening, like, oh yeah, I'm in a similar situation. Right. Like, how do we fix this? You have to be proactive and show them the proper way of doing it before you get access to all this credit. And now these cards, you got some banks that'll take you to court for having a credit card that has gone to collections. Even before it get to collections, that bank is taking you to court for this $15,000 debt that you owe with them. So we want to prevent all of that. Like, get the money. Definitely trying to tell you guys, get the money. I want you to get the money, but make sure there's a plan in place so over the next 6 months, how my business is going to operate. Get a business plan to say, this is how my business is going to operate. This is how I'm going to get revenue. This is my emergency money put to the side too. I'm done. I see you want to jump in though. Go ahead before we end.
No, you said a lot. What I'm going to say one thing, and then I'm going to take it out. I would just say, make sure that you can finance and do your personal budget before you get into the business realm or home buying. That goes for both, because there's people who see everybody buying a house too, and they just want to go buy a house, or they want to get into fixing and flipping properties, and they want to get into investments, and then they get all of their money tied up in all of this stuff, and something breaks, or they got to fix the house, or they got to repair the house, or they got to do anything to be able to move the property. And, if you don't have the credit to do it, if you don't know how to budget, now you have mortgage payments, or you're paying on loans that you took out to try to fix the property and things like that. It's the same concept.
Right.
So you just have to, like you said, you have to have a plan and make sure that you can manage your personal finances before you jump into the bigger realm of things. Because if you have difficulty with your personal finances, it's going to be even more difficult for you to manage on a business level, or once you add like a $1,200 mortgage to your personal finance or business finance.
Right. What I would tell you is talk to someone that you know, or you could talk. Yeah, talk to someone, but before you even call our office at YMA Financial, that number is 864-249-1439. But I say speak to someone like a family member or a friend or someone that you could reach out to that you trust and ask them about the industry, if they're in that industry. Because people that flip homes, if you talk to someone that's honest, a friend or a family, they're going to tell you all the problems and challenges that come with flipping a home. And I know dozens of people that came through us and they're doing it now. I would say at least 90% would say it's not as easy as it looks. But you see these guys, they're trying to sell their programs and all that thing, like, oh, it's going to just happen like this. Speak to someone that you know, guys. We will see you guys on Wednesday for Real Estate Wednesday.
With the boss's view, you gotta sacrifice. You wanna move like bosses move.
YMA, Young Millionaires Association. Yeah, see, that's the association.